Welcome to Focus on Why. I'm Amy Rowlinson, your host. Join me to explore the compelling stories, profound insights, and captivating experiences shared by my guests from all over the world. Focusing on the importance of why, these relatable, uplifting, and inspiring conversations will empower, motivate, and guide you to create your own purposeful way of life. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. Before we dive in, let me share how I can transform your journey as a purpose coach. I specialize in helping you get crystal clear on your why, aligning your passion with your purpose, and crafting a plan to create the life you truly desire. Book a free 30-minute coaching call today. The link is in the show notes. Let's start building your purposeful future together. Hello and welcome to episode 423 of Focus on Why. This is my 69th Reflections with Actions episode. Last week, I celebrated 1 year alcohol-free. And you know what? There was actually no celebration at all because it felt just like any other normal day. And the celebration really was made a year ago in making that decision. And now being alcohol-free is just the lifestyle I choose, and it doesn't even factor much at all. So what else has been going on? Well, the book layout for Focus on Why is finally complete and will be off to the printers very soon. I've been busy planning my in-person book launch, writing the speech for that evening, and chasing up some outstanding RSVPs. This week, I'm recording my audiobook in the studio alongside Arthur Lindsay, who will be voicing my grandfather George's scrapbook entries. Working with clients also on plugging those purpose gaps in their business. And then later at the end of the week, I'm off to Edinburgh with my school friends to celebrate the fact that we are all turning 50 over this coming year. So really excited for that long weekend and the few days that come before. But let's return back to Focus on Why and my reflections with actions for the last 5 guests who've come on the show. And what a treat is in store for you. First up is Hannah Miller from episode 418, Level the Playing Field. Now, Hannah was recommended by a previous guest of mine, Ben Wales, from episode 404, People, Planet and Profit. He said she's got to come on the show and speak about purpose. Well, of course, why not? Hannah is a founding director of Sidekick, and she is what you call a strengths-based coach. She also has her own podcast, You're Better Than That, and is a mum to 3 sons. For her, the juggle of life is real. But Hannah's also a guiding light in helping people to identify, value, and harness their unique strengths and talents, which empower them to navigate the various transitions life brings. As a passionate advocate for social mobility and inclusivity, Hannah's work is deeply rooted in the belief that no one should stand alone or be left behind. Focusing on what really matters, she ensures that the emotional significance and essence of all her efforts contributes to help level the playing field. Hannah actually got quite emotional in sharing her why, and this often happens when it really means so much personally to know that you're making a difference in an area that really resonates. Hannah and I do work in similar areas of business. She too helps people with understanding and activating their purpose. But as far as I'm concerned, there are not enough people working in the purpose coaching space. So I'm more than happy to share what Hannah does and anyone else who's working in purpose, because ultimately it means that there will be more opportunities for people to live more engaged and fulfilled lives. And that makes for a better planet. Hannah touched on the transitions that we make between the different chapters or stages in our life. And this is an area that I would really like to reflect upon. This liminal space between one life stage and another can be confusing, challenging, and somewhat uncomfortable, but it doesn't have to be. These liminal states are often experienced when you're graduating, changing careers, or just moving into a new phase of personal development. It is a space of uncertainty and potential, and can be marked by the breakdown of familiar structures and the challenge of navigating towards something unknown. During this phase, purpose becomes crucial as it provides a sense of direction and grounding amidst change. A strong sense of purpose helps clarify goals and motivates forward movement, even when the path is unclear. It's common to feel a loss of identity, lack of structure, frustration, fearful, or even disoriented. And to navigate liminal transitions with minimal resistance, it's important to first embrace the discomfort of the in-between. Acknowledge that growth often requires letting go of past identities, habits, or roles that no longer serve you. Engage in self-reflection to reconnect with what gives you meaning and joy, aligning your next steps with these values. Staying flexible and open to new opportunities will help to ease anxiety about the unknown, helping you adapt more smoothly. Establishing supportive routines, practicing mindfulness, and seeking guidance from mentors or trusted individuals can further reduce resistance. This clear sense of purpose, combined with patience and resilience, will help transform the uncertainty of the liminal phase into a period of empowerment. Hannah asks the question, what is it that really matters to you? The thing that makes everything you do each day unarguably worth it. Do you know the answer to that question? I was interviewing someone on my podcast today who commented on how easy I made it for him to relax into the conversation, and he soon forgot where he was and what was going on around him at home. He was totally in the moment, in the conversation, sharing his purpose and focused on the questions I was asking. He complimented me afterwards on the skill that it takes to create that kind of environment. It's funny because I feel creating this space, interviewing people, asking questions around the topic of purpose, it just all comes naturally to me. However, I'm sure that it feels that way because of years of all my experiences compounding to make me who I am today. But that question, what is it that really matters to you? This matters to me, the work that I do, the ability to shine the light on a focus on why, because I know what a difference it is between living and existing, between not knowing what your purpose is and then living every day, knowing what is getting you out of bed and springing you into purposeful action. I have been through many liminal stages in my life. Some I've been more aware of than others. Some have been easier than others. And what started out for me in lockdown as what I perceived as a huge challenge transitioned into what I can now see being a beautiful midlife beginning. As one door on one business closed, another door opened as I launched this podcast and began focusing more on my purpose coaching business. I didn't know that this was what was in store for me back on the 23rd of March 2020. But by the 1st of April 2020, it was absolutely clear that this was the path I was meant to take, those first few steps. And here I am, 4 years later, 423 episodes recorded, a book on the verge of being published, and clarity of the direction I'm heading in. I'm now far more comfortable sitting with the unknown and at the same time having clarity of my overall direction. It's a strange balance to navigate, but that is the way of life that we all face. We have to get comfortable with the chaos. Next up is episode 419, The Bigger Picture with Ben Stewart. Again, another recommendation. This time I have a thank you and a shout out to Kim Huggins, a fabulous connection that I made in the One of Many community set up by Joe Martin while on my Lead the Change year-long program. So thank you, Kim, for the introduction to Ben. For over a decade, Ben has been dedicated to assisting his clients as a personal trainer and sports therapist. He offers a holistic approach to health and well-being, integrating his interest in Stoicism and philosophy to support and guide individuals on their personal journeys. Ben is passionate about helping people and aims to use his knowledge and experiences to inspire others. What would happen if you were to harness the power of Stoicism and incorporate its teachings into your everyday life? In February 2024, Ben undertook a unique fundraising challenge to become the first person to ascend and descend Mount Kilimanjaro backwards, applying his understanding of Stoicism to help get him through the toughest moments of this mentally and physically demanding challenge. Ben also highlighted the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people, having clarity of purpose, and understanding how everything connects to the bigger picture. Now, I often refer to the Stoics in my podcast, and today will be no different. When Ben and I first jumped on that first call together to introduce ourselves to one another, I think it might have been less than 2 minutes before we both realised that we had the same book sitting right in front of us on our desk. Neither of us could actually see it. It was out of sight, but it was right there by the side of us. That book was The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. 366 meditations on wisdom, perseverance, and the art of living. Have you read it? It's awesome. It really does bring light into my everyday and serves as an invaluable reminder of what really matters in life. It was the ancient Stoic Epictetus who spoke of the reasoned choice as a reminder that you have a choice in how you respond to external events, but not necessarily control over the events themselves, that you are responsible for your own judgments. My grandfather George wrote down this particular quote in his commonplace scrapbook on the 6th of September 1942. "But I will put you in prison." Man, what are you saying? You may put my body in prison, but my mind, not even Zeus himself can overpower. Epictetus. It would be this particular guidance from Stoic philosophy that George would rely heavily upon during his 5 years of imprisonment as a prisoner of war in World War II to assist him with his mental clarity and give him the resilience, courage, purpose, and moments of joy needed to manage the uncertainty of his future. When writing my book, sadly, a lot of content had to be cut. I was limited to around 50,000 words, and I ended up writing 135,000 words for my first draft. Managed to cut it right back to 86,000 for my second draft. So a lot of the content was cut from my sections, and a lot of George's scrapbook also ended up on the cutting room floor, so to speak, because I did have to end up at 50,000 words. Writing about Stoicism and Admiral James Stockdale was something I wanted to include in the book, but I couldn't. So I'm thrilled to be able to share it with you here. Epictetus was also attributed to aiding another prisoner of war, Admiral James Stockdale, during his many years of torture and torment in imprisonment during the Vietnam War. In Stockdale's paper, Master of My Fate, he shared that Epictetus said, "Show me a man who though is sick is happy, who though in danger is happy, who though in prison is happy, and I'll show you a Stoic." Stockdale knew what lay ahead of him in his years of prison. However, he had Epictetus Enchiridion, which means ready at hand, as his mental handbook to guide him and to help understand, as he writes, what was up to me, within my power, within my will, are my opinions, my aims, my aversions, my own grief, my own joy, my attitude about what is going on, my own good and my own evil. What are you able to control? Your reflections and actions. You can control your thoughts, choices, and responses. You can control what you think, what you do, and who you are. Your thoughts and the meanings you attach to them, your beliefs, behaviors, and responses, and your actions are all within your control. Therefore, you can control the present moment in regards to your thoughts, your actions, your attitude, your responses, your behavior, your lifestyle choices. This means you have complete control over your desires, goals, aspirations, and ultimately your purpose. As you experience a moment in life, you assign a meaning to it, either consciously or unconsciously, based upon your values, beliefs, perceptions, interpretations, and experiences. This subjective meaning then leads to how you respond to that moment through your mood, your behavior, your choices you make, and the subsequent actions you then take. These actions then go on to create the next moment you experience, and so the sequence continues on and on and on. Awareness of this process can empower you to become more mindful of all of your responses to moments and the meanings you attach to them. This will help you to focus on being in control of what you can be, thus freeing yourself from unnecessary stress and anxiety. When you focus on what you can control, you're more able to make informed decisions and you're better equipped to adapt, change, and ultimately live a more fulfilled life. To gain control, you need to take ownership of your choices, actions, and beliefs. Purpose is essentially the value that you choose to build your life around. It is at the core of all your choices and decision making. The struggle, that is life, is often made more difficult when you choose to control elements of your life which are not controllable. Only seek to control the controllable, otherwise you create an inescapable prison for yourself. You only become truly free when you let go of all that which you cannot control. What do you need to set yourself free from so you can move forward in life? Knowing the difference of what is and what is not controllable will enable you to focus on what really matters to you and what you're able to effect change upon. Free yourself from the mental prison you hold yourself prisoner. Set yourself clear boundaries. Regardless of your external circumstances, you can choose how you perceive and respond to moments. Remember, you get to choose to focus on the bigger picture. Next up is episode 420, Climate Change and Health, with Dr. Nuthana PB. Nuthana is another fabulous woman I had the privilege to meet and spend a lot of time alongside on my Lead the Change program. I invited her to come on the show, and she was at that time in that liminal state of in between two careers. She shared that it had been a really big decision that she had to make, but it was the one that was completely aligned with her values and her purpose and her two whys. Nuthana is a doctor passionate about people and the planet being healthy. She's recently become a public health doctor, having previously been a paediatric one. She's also done a year of sustainability fellowship and is really keen to deliver healthcare in a way that is good for the planet. She loves dancing and hiking and tries to spread joy wherever she goes. Well, she doesn't try, she does. And that I can testify to being 100% true. She's always the first to start a conga in the room. Finding herself at another chapter change in her life, Nuthana delves into the challenges of embracing the hard choices and finding meaning in life's unexpected turns. In this episode, Nuthana explored themes of personal growth, the interconnectedness of people and planet, and the essential role of self-care amidst life's transitions. With a vision of very green and thriving future and a mission to embed sustainability into national strategies, she has a determined focus on climate change and health, encouraging people to be the architect of their own health. Her original inspiration was as a child, she was introduced to the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, which made a huge impact on her path for education from being a child into adulthood. Her father, who works in public policy, had introduced her to these, and she saw how she could help the planet with a focus on service also. These early societal and familial influences have shaped her values, of which learning and growth, service, fun and joy all connect to guide her to achieve her vision and her mission. When learning and growth are your core values, there comes a point when it dawns on you that you're never going to know everything. It's just not possible. I know, I've experienced this, but it hasn't stopped me from continuing to learn and grow. And this leads to a certain type of acceptance. I accept that I can only be, do, and have so much in my lifetime. I accept that time is of a limited nature, and so it helps me to really focus on what matters to me. And these Reflections with Actions episodes are perfect examples of where I get to explore areas which have piqued my interest from the conversations I've had and dive into them in more detail, sharing the snippets of these learnings with you. Encouraging you to focus on what you've learned and how you too can apply those lessons into your life. I know that each time I listen to an episode, I will hear a different lesson than when I heard it previously. Isn't it always the way? We tend to hear the lesson that we most need to hear at that time. There's that expression, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And it's true. When we have the capacity to learn and grow, we have the capacity to apply the learnings. However, when you can't see a way forward, when the vision is blocked, the path's not clear, it's likely for good reason. Perhaps you're in burnout already, and your body is giving you a clear message to first take care of yourself and your health before you're able to serve others. My takeaway from Nuthana's conversation was that we have a responsibility to take care of our own health, that we don't delegate that out to the NHS or other services. Being an architect of your own health means taking active, intentional control over your well-being, much like an architect designs and builds a structure. It involves understanding that you are the primary designer of your health and that the choices you make regarding your nutrition, exercise, movement, mental health, sleep, and stress management is yours. How you shape your physical and emotional state, this approach encourages a proactive rather than reactive attitude towards health, where you consciously design a lifestyle that promotes long-term vitality rather than merely responding to illness or discomfort. As Nuthana said, the difference between a national disease service and a national health service is you taking responsibility. Being an architect of your health also means recognizing the interconnectedness of different areas of your well-being. Again, just as an architect must consider various structural elements like a foundation, the materials, and the design principles, managing your health requires a holistic perspective, taking account both your mental and physical health. It means personalizing your health plan based on your unique needs, goals, circumstances, and being willing to adapt over time as those needs evolve. This approach involves self-education, seeking the right resources and building habits that foster resilience and balance. Essentially, it empowers you to take responsibility for your own health journey, creating that blueprint for a life of sustained well-being and happiness, or as Nuthana embraces, joy. Nuthana said, climate change is the biggest threat to health worldwide, and there's a real overlap between climate change and health. From an advocate of being the architect of your health to an honorary fellow of the Royal Institute of British Architects, my next guest, Pooran Desai, in episode 421, Regenerating a Planet, wholeheartedly agrees with the link of health and climate change. In fact, it was Pooran who was the creator of the framework from which the UN Sustainable Development Goals are based. His company, One Planet Living's 10 guiding principles, served as a basis for the SDGs adopted by all UN member states in 2015. How cool is that? And again, before I crack on with this episode, I owe another thank you to a previous guest, Nicola Peel from episode 401, Apply a Solutionist Perspective, for introducing us. The focus on why ripple effect continues. So thank you, Nicola. Pooran studied medical sciences and neuroscience at Oxford and Cambridge universities before co-founding environmental organisation Bioregional in 1994. With colleagues, he established enterprises in sustainable forestry, organic farming and recycling, and put together Beddington Zero Fossil Energy Development, or BEDZ, in South London, the world's first zero-carbon urban village. He also coined the term One Planet Living, leading an international initiative embedding the holistic framework across all sectors, including $30 billion of zero-carbon real estate in 30 countries. In 2018, Pooran founded OnePlanet.com, a digital platform enabling users to join the dots to create resilient, regenerative communities, now being used by local government, businesses, and community groups, unlocking the imagination and collaborative power within the workplace. Are you curious about interconnectedness and sustainability? In our conversation, Pooran explains the need to shift from a consumer perspective to a regenerative perspective. And through his groundbreaking projects, he's focused on the fusion of bigger purpose with holistic solutions. He shares his journey, emphasizing the profound impact of embracing the universe's unfolding, working in harmony with nature, and how he's focused on regenerating our planet. He said that everything is interconnected. Let's regenerate the living systems on which we depend. There can be no more meaningful way to spend a life than regenerating a planet. This is what I have been reflecting upon. Pooran has a point. No matter what your purpose is in life, it's rendered pointless should the planet not actually exist. Part of what we all do should be connected to regenerating the planet in some way. It's fundamental to our survival. The concept that everything is interconnected speaks to the profound link between all living systems on Earth. From the soil that nourishes plants to the oceans that regulate our climate, every aspect of the environment plays a critical role in sustaining life. Your actions, both individually and together collectively, impact these systems in intricate ways, from the air you breathe to the food you eat. Regenerating the living systems on which we all depend is essential for the survival and flourishing of humanity. This means not only conserving, but actively restoring ecosystems, ensuring that natural processes like water cycles, biodiversity, and soil health are maintained and enhanced. Regenerative practices offer a path to healing the planet, whether through sustainable agriculture, reforestation, or reducing waste. Pooran spoke of the universe unfolding. He said that we will never be able to define reality or control the world we live in, and to allow the unfolding, that we are part of the process, but we do have a role to play. He's helping people to see the bigger picture, to see how everything is interconnected, to move from this consumer perspective to the regenerative perspective. And he says that we are a regenerator species, a species which aims to support the rest of the living systems and not deplete them. Devoting your life to this mission is arguably the most meaningful endeavour, as it goes beyond personal gain and touches the core of what sustains all life on Earth. The planet's well-being directly influences human well-being, and by regenerating these systems, we do create a more healthier, more resilient world for future generations. In this interdependence, we find a shared purpose to live in harmony with nature and work towards the regeneration of our planet. How does your purpose fit into the bigger jigsaw of life? What might you need to change to become more purposeful, more collaborative, more regenerative in your approach? And I find it so curious just how interconnected these 5 guests are today. Or it's not curious at all, is it? Because we are all interconnected and it is the way of life. As you'll see when I introduce you to my final guest, Jane Gunn, from episode 422, Revolutionising Conflict Resolution. Bringing humanity to the heart of conflict resolution is former commercial lawyer turned barefoot mediator Jane Gunn. Inspired by a chance encounter with a library book, Jane's mediation work focuses on the importance of understanding needs, self-determination, and collaboration, transforming adversarial mindsets and fostering productive, respectful conversations and interactions. Emphasizing the application of principles, skills, and mindsets vital for resolving conflicts and building better relationships at personal, organizational, and societal levels, Jane's approach is helping empower people to map their own journeys to success and joy. Her love-centered approach is completely revolutionizing conflict resolution. Jane's an expert in the field of conflict resolution. She's a trained mediator and facilitator. She's spoken at the United Nations, the White House, and the European Commission, and is listed as a global leader in Who's Who mediation and featured in Legal 500 Hall of Fame. She's president of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators and is a former director and board member of the Civil Mediation Council of England and Wales. She helps people in all walks of life to become what she calls resolutionaries. Teaching them the basic skills of mediation, she helps people to deal with difference and diversity in ways that are non-adversarial and solution-focused. Her mission is to create a community of resolutionaries, equipped to lead and inspire others in time of challenge, change, and crisis. She has a powerful message supported by practical tools and techniques that apply to organizations of all sizes across all sectors. Bringing light into people's worlds. Ever since I recorded this episode with Jane, I've been reflecting on 2 questions she asked. Having shared how the human race has experienced many revolutions throughout history, she asked, what's next? And can we step into our humanity? Can we step into our humanity? Yes, I believe we can, and so does Jane. But how and why? Well, throughout history, humanity has undergone transformative shifts, each revolution shaping the world in profound ways. The physical revolution taught us to harness basic natural forces. The biological revolution revealed the mysteries of life, from genetics to medicine. The agricultural revolution allowed for settled societies, while the industrial revolution introduced mass production, fundamentally altering economies and lifestyles. And today we find ourselves in the midst of the technology revolution, driven by artificial intelligence, automation, and vast computational power. As Jane highlighted, AI in particular is reshaping industries, communication, and creativity. Her concern was, though, that as technology accelerates, what comes next, and will we be able to step into our humanity? She believes that the next step could be what she calls the resolution revolution. This is her term for a movement that focuses not on external advancements, but on resolving the inner conflicts of human life. This step requires us to reconnect with our humanity, to address ethical dilemmas, mental well-being, and our relationships with the natural world. Jane's work is love-centered. She calls for a balance between technological progress and human values, ensuring we remain stewards of compassion and wisdom and deepen our understanding of ourselves, one another, and the world. You only have to switch on the news to see how this focus on humanity is a call to arms to act now. Daily, we're reminded that the rapid pace of technological progress should not blind us to the pressing social, environmental, and ethical challenges faced in our world. With AI transforming every aspect of society, proactively prioritizing human well-being, equality, and sustainability is key. We find ourselves at this pivotal moment in history where we need to ensure technology serves humanity, not the other way around. How will you step into your humanity today? And before I close up today's episode, there's one final message that I want to leave you with. As if you've not had enough to process already, but hear me out on this one. Jane spoke about how she had this idea on a holiday which just downloaded itself clearly into her head, and she drew it out and drafted a story around it, which ultimately became the parable, The Mole and the Mountain, the book she published earlier this year. Now, I mentioned in the moment how that download that Jane had reminded me of something that Elizabeth Gilbert spoke of in her book, Big Magic, and I want to expand on what it was that she said. In Big Magic, Elizabeth Gilbert touches on the idea that creative ideas or inspiration are almost like entities of their own, gifts from the universe that come to you for expression. This is what she wrote in the book. That ideas are alive, that ideas do seek the most available human collaborator, that ideas do have a conscious will, that ideas do move from soul to soul, that ideas will always try to seek the swiftest and most efficient conduit to the earth. How cool is that? Now, Elizabeth Gilbert explains that if you don't take action on an idea when it comes to you, the universe will eventually pass it on to someone else who's willing to bring it to life. And she uses this metaphor of ideas as downloads from the universe, which are fleeting and don't belong exclusively to any one person. She argues that when you receive an idea, it's your responsibility to act on it with urgency and passion. If you don't, the idea will move on to someone else who's more prepared or willing to nurture it. Now, this concept serves as a reminder that creativity requires participation and commitment. It's reflection with action. It's not enough for you to wait for inspiration to linger indefinitely. You have to seize it when it comes. By treating ideas as temporary gifts, you feel a sense of urgency and responsibility to engage with your creativity, recognizing that missed opportunities might be picked up by someone else who will bring that idea into the world. Jane acted on the idea that she received, and it's now become the book, The Mole and the Mountain, that can be read by all of us. I acted on the idea that I had to write a book with my late grandfather, and it's now a book that you can read. Well, a few more weeks, but almost there. So how about you? What idea have you recently downloaded that you will choose to act upon? Remember, though, that if you don't act upon it, someone else will. What value have you gained from tuning into Focus on Why today? What are your reflections with actions? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or via LinkedIn and share how Focus on Why has made a difference to you. Your feedback not only will inspire others, but will help them to discover how Focus on Why has created powerful ripple effects. Let's continue the conversation. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook or X, join the Focus on Why Facebook group, and sign up for my weekly newsletter, Friday Focus, to keep in touch. All the links are in the show notes. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why.